24th, 1994, Fairchild Air Force Base, Washington State. 4 expert pilots are rehearsing for an air show. The 130-ton B-52 bomber roars by overhead, its awesome capabilities on display. Now retired, instructor pilot Clem Countess III was on duty at Fairchild Base that summer day, watching from the ground.
For people to be able to see the B-52 do some of the approved air show maneuvers that we had, it was just an amazing thing to see.
Since its debut in the 1950s, Boeing's B-52 airplane has been the powerhouse of the United States Air Force.
It's the most versatile weapons delivery system the Air Force has. High altitude, low altitude, it can deliver missiles, short range, long range.
The pilot's friends and family members are also watching.
What the animals look like? Yeah, we got the gang up here.
Among them is teenager Pat McGeehan. His father, Lieutenant Colonel Mark McGeehan, is in the co-pilot seat.
My mother and I, along with my younger brother Brendan, were watching from our front yard. I was waving at the plane, thinking maybe that my father might be able to see us down there.
Lieutenant Colonel Arthur Bud Holland is the lead pilot. Holland is skilled and experienced, with thousands of hours in the B-52. But he's known to take risks in violation of Air Force safety regulations.
Bud had a reputation of knowing the aircraft very well. I think that that's kind of how he saw the boundaries, was if he could, make it do something and it had a new boundary.
The air show flight plan calls for a complicated series of low-altitude passes, 60-degree banked turns, a steep climb, and a touch-and-go runway landing. Everything is going well until the crew nears the final sequence. The bomber sweeps in low above the runway, and Holland enters into a tight, steeply banked turn. As spectators look on, the airplane banks past 90 degrees.
Oh my God! No!
The B-52 nosedives and explodes.
My mom collapsed next to me. I just kind of couldn't take the shock of the moment.
Oh my God!
But the only thing I could think of was run towards the crash and run towards Dad.
An enormous cloud of smoke and fire billows into the air above the crash site, which is just 50 yards from the base's nuclear weapons storage area.
There was no secret that there were weapons there. You don't want to crash a B-52 into a nuclear weapons storage facility.
It's a major disaster narrowly averted and a personal tragedy. All 4 men on board the Tsar 52 die on impact.
And when I saw the fireball explode over the trees, at that moment I knew my father was gone.
Crash images reveal the heartbreaking fact that McGeehan attempted to escape from the airplane in the final desperate seconds.
My dad initiated his ejection sequence. You could see the hatch below right before impact. But there just wasn't enough time for him to make it out. And the aircraft nosed into the ground.
McGeehan's good friend, now retired 3-star Lieutenant General Richard Newton III, is near disbelief when he learns of the crash.
You never go beyond the edge. You're very calculated in how you go about flying the aircraft, deploying the aircraft in this case, but you also understand what the limitations are.
There's no black box on board to learn what happened inside the B-52 cockpit, so the crash footage is essential proof during the investigation. Investigators determined that Holland alone pushed the B-52 beyond its operational safety limits, and that he had done so on many previous occasions without reprimand. Footage from the early 90s shows Holland showboating for photographers and flying below operational safety limits.
Those videos should have been enough evidence to ensure that Bud never had the opportunity to fly unsupervised and be in command of an airplane after that.
But senior command reportedly looked the other way. The investigation also reveals that months before the crash, McGeehan asked his superior officer to ground Holland for reckless flying. McGeehan's request was denied.
The only thing my father, after he could not successfully ground Colonel Holland, was to order all of his men under his command not to fly with Colonel Holland.
On the day of the fatal crash, Pat McGeehan says his dad was flying co-pilot in order to protect his officers.
Well, I'm very proud of my dad for sticking to principle to the end.
In the wake of the accident, the Air Force takes action. McGeehan's superior officer is court-martialed for not removing Holland from flight duty when the officer learned Holland broke safety rules. The Air Force makes it easier for complaints to go up the chain of command and starts using the video for training purposes. But the emotional scars still hurt.
I can't imagine, my daughter witnessing, her father crashing.
I still have nightmares about it to this day. I never got to speak with them that morning. I never got to say goodbye.
God, no! God.
Coming up,